All right, lesson 4.3.3 is all about mole ratios. So the introduction here says the substances in chemical equations are expressed in moles. Like energy, we will want to compare the amounts of substances that we start with to what we end with, and to do that we'll need moles. Eventually we'll want to find out how many grams of a reactant or product we can expect from our equations. So you're going to learn the term mole ratio from the balanced equation, and we're going to be using the term molar mass quite frequently, which should be a review. So we will go over that again. So just so we're clear on what we're talking about, in this reaction pictured here, there is a 2-to-1 ratio of hydrogen to oxygen. So it's talking about the numbers that are out front of the reactants or the products. So let's go down to the activity. So instead of doing it with chemicals, let's look at some ratios of foods, because it kind of breaks it down and makes it a little more familiar. So if you've got a boxed lunch, this formula is that 1 sandwich plus 4 carrots plus 2 cookies equals 1 boxed lunch. So if you only have 40 carrots, then how many boxed lunches could you make? Well, since every lunch requires 4 carrots, you can divide that in your head and say you could only make 10 boxed lunches. Number 2, you need to order cookies for 200 boxed lunches. How many cookies do you need? 200 boxed lunches, you need 2 for every lunch, so you're going to need to order 400 cookies. Okay, explain how you solved the problem. Well, I just multiplied by how many cookies were needed per boxed lunch. So what if we had to write these using dimensional analysis? 40 carrots, start by writing what you know, and you could set this up so that 4 carrots equal 1 boxed lunch. So then we'll do 40 times 1 divided by 4 to get the same answer that we got, 10 boxed lunches, only this time we used dimensional analysis. So let's do this again, only for the second part. You've got 200 boxed lunches. 1 boxed lunch equals 2 cookies, since we're talking about cookies. Multiply across the top, divide by the bottom, you get your answer, 400 cookies. And you might think to yourself, why do I need to set this up? I can do these in my head. True, when things get a little more complicated with chemicals though, it's nice to have this procedure in place, this technique I should say. Number 5, assume that in order to make a Big Mac, you need 2 hamburger patties, 3 buns, 2 slices of cheese, 1 slice of lettuce. Write this chemical equation. So I'm going to say 2 HP for hamburger patty plus 3 BU for buns plus 2 CH for cheese plus 1 lettuce all makes 1 Big Mac. Number 6 says, write out the ratios of bun to cheese, patties to burgers as conversion factors, and write out as many as you can. So for example, 2 hamburger patties to 3 buns is a ratio. 2 hamburger patties to 2 cheese. 2 hamburger patties to 1 lettuce. 2 hamburger patties to 1 Big Mac. 3 buns to 2 cheese. 3 buns to 1 lettuce. 3 buns to 3 Big Mac. You could also simplify that to 1 to 1. You could also do 2 cheese to 1 lettuce, 2 cheese to 1 Big Mac, and 1 lettuce to 1 Big Mac. Lots of different ratios present here. Okay. How many buns would you need in order to make 75 Big Macs? So we want to get Big Macs into buns. So I'm going to look for the ratio up here, and I see it. It's a 1-to-1 ratio. Did I do this one right? 3 buns to 1 Big Mac. That should have been. Okay. So 1 Big Mac needs 3 buns. Maybe I didn't believe that. That's absurd. Multiply across the top. 225 buns needed. How many slices of cheese would 600 buns worth of Big Macs? Well, for every 3 buns, there's 2 slices of cheese. Multiply across the top, divide by the bottom. That comes out to be 400 slices of cheese. Now we have a comparison here. What if you have 500 hamburger patties and 600 slices of cheese? How many Big Macs could you make? What ingredient limits the number of burgers that you can make? This happens in chemistry too. So let's start with the hamburger patties. For every 2 hamburger patties, you can only make 1 Big Mac. So with just the hamburger patties, you could make 250 Big Macs. With 600 slices of cheese, you need 2 slices of cheese for every 1 Big Mac. So you could technically make 300 Big Macs. But you're not going to make that many because you're going to run out of hamburger patties first. So the hamburger patties limit you. That's called the limiting reactant. So part 3 is using chemicals instead, and that's going to be a separate video. But it's pretty much the same as working with the foods. It's just instead of parts of a box lunch, you've got the reactants and the products that are involved in the equation.